Hi, everybody. I'm Drew Wimmershoff with Remax Heritage Properties in Chester, New Jersey, and I'm here today with Ryan Sturzebecker, the owner of Alliance Home Inspections. Thanks, Ryan, for joining me today here. And before we get into how busy you probably are, given the temperature of the real estate market, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with Alliance Home Inspections?
Okay. Hello. I'm Ryan Sturzebecker, owner of Alliance Home Inspections, based out of Long Valley, New Jersey. We are in our third year of business as our own company. And basically, we got started because I wanted a lifestyle change. I've always been interested in the real estate industry. And many, many moons ago, I did have my real estate license, tried my way at that back in the early 2000s when I graduated high school. And things changed, life happened, and I didn't stick with it. But I'm not a regret person. So everything kind of worked out in this aspect of it. Fast forward, almost 20 years later, and now we're in our third year here doing inspections. I just love houses. I like helping people. The attention to detail that goes into a home, a lot of times people it goes right over their head how much they see. So even something simple that is a very easy fix and not even expensive, but can be pointed out by us that people don't see as they're doing the normal walkthrough or realizing that they fell in love with the house the first time they saw it. So when I go in and do what we do, it's a kind of just a big eye opener for people. Not designed to scare anybody, but
that could be a good eye opener or a bad eye opener, I guess.
It can be. It goes both ways. And I try to explain to everybody that I don't care if a house is 200 years old or just built within the past 6 months. There's always going to be something that needs to be addressed in a home. Like I said, most of the times it's really a lot of easy fixes, but people just don't realize it because they don't really know what they're looking at.
Right.
And that goes even more for first-time home buyers who have never experienced living in a home and seeing things happen or things break or things changing throughout the years of them living there. So.
Right. When you said about first-time home buyers, I would imagine that there's different, now that I'm a realtor myself, I have a very different view of home inspections, obviously, and the importance of home inspections,
Yep.
that's for sure. So in terms of a home inspection that you do for someone before they list their house and a home inspection that you do with a potential buyer, tell us, what the differences are with those and why they're both really important in different ways.
The biggest difference I'd say between those two services that we do, on the seller side that I do pre-listing inspections for, is basically I'm going through the home and I'm looking at everything I would as if I was inspecting the home for the buyer side, but it's giving the owners an opportunity to see what might be wrong or might come up in an inspection when the process happens and they find a buyer. So they're not really necessarily surprised by it. So it does two things. It lets the sellers know kind of what's going on with the big picture of their house and gives them an opportunity if they want to put some money into it before going on market. So that way there's no scrambling and negotiation back and forth. It really limits the potential for a lot of back and forth and slowing down the process. It does obviously help a seller save money if they can kind of get things fixed on their own time ahead, so they can kind of plan it out, whether it's a matter of a couple weeks or they're planning to sell 6 months down the road. It lets them kind of get their ducks lined up. And then on the back end of it, if a buyer comes in and points out something that normally would be a big headache, it kind of puts everybody at ease mentally, because the process of buying a home nowadays is very stressful. Even when it goes easy, it can seem very stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you see more buyers or sellers? I mean, I guess these days, are sellers even taking the time to do these pre-home inspections before they
There's
put the house on the market?
They're starting to. I don't do as many as I would like, because I would like to be able to help a lot more people out ahead of time, and ultimately make the transaction go a little bit smoother than sometimes it does, and as well as saving everybody money. You know, if I know I have a problem in my house and I can fix it now as opposed to waiting, it does two things. It stops the problem before it gets worse. And then it also, like I said, it makes the rest of the transaction go a lot smoother. So the buyer comes in, and I always recommend they hire their own inspector to do a full inspection anyway. I don't want my pre-listing inspections that we do be solely relied on by the buyer side, because I want everybody to have a thorough inspection done. But in reality, I'm hoping that people start doing it more so moving forward, because it just makes every transaction that a little bit easier for people to get through.
Right, and there's no surprises, or less chance of a
A
surprise.
lot less chance, yeah.
You know, coming along with a buyer's inspector, where you know, the inspector walks out and says, yeah, everything looks pretty good, and then you come back with a report that's, you know, forever long, you know, and the
Yes.
seller is saying, what is going on here? I thought, you know, my house was in great shape. So,
Yep.
and in this market, you certainly don't want to have to delay any transactions, because everything is happening at the speed of light right now. And as you probably know, you must be very busy.
Yes. Yeah. Luckily, at the beginning of March last year, excuse me, when everything started to shut down, everybody was a bit worried, and I actually ended up taking an entire month off of April last year, because my wife is in the health industry, so she had her nerves about what was going on,
Sure.
and we have young kids at home, so we were all scared.
Right.
So I didn't work for all of April, but May came around and the phone wouldn't stop ringing because all the interest rates dropped.
Right.
So I had to go back to work, which I'm not complaining. You know, we still play it safe. We wear masks, we wear gloves, everything we need to do. But it has been very busy. So as the world has seemed to been kind of crumbling around us, the real estate market has skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely for sure. Do the buyers usually stay home and walk around the house with you when you're doing the inspection, or how does that work?
They have been a little bit more recently, because one, people don't have really anywhere to go hang out for a couple hours. If people are still trying to social distance, and you can't really go sit at a Starbucks as much as you used to be able to, or they're stuck at home because they're working. You know, a lot of people being able to work from home is great because they were able to keep their jobs and keep everything flowing. But the downside to that on our end is that they have to be there for the inspection.
Right.
It's not horrible. Some sellers, you know, tend to talk a lot, which I try to avoid, because I'm there to do a job. I don't want to be distracted by what they have to say. But at the same time, we work the best we can through it.
Right. So I would imagine that being in business as long as you have, you've probably seen your share of some strange things that you've come across in inspections, either for pre-inspection or when you're working on the buyer side. What was like one of the strangest things you've ever encountered on an inspection?
Probably the strangest, and I'd say scariest, was heading back to a house to double check. I forget exactly what I was looking at, but it was a vacant house, but there was a caretaker of the property that was living there only a couple days a week. And we had gone back to the house or something, and we were told that the caretaker wasn't there. So I went upstairs and walked into a bedroom, and a guy's sleeping in the bed. And, you know, it scared the hell out of me.
Oh my God.
Him too, I'm sure, because he woke up to some stranger in his bedroom. But luckily, nothing else
No
kind of arose from it. But
hiding in the walls or anything like that?
no, nothing too crazy yet. I'm sure those days will come across. I have heard stories of people finding strange things in their attic, because a lot of people don't go in their attics. So,
right.
Leftover luggage and old board games and things like that. We see all the time that people had no idea were up there.
Right. Oh, that's funny. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, you're in a frenzy to get out and maybe you just forget things, but I'm sure you'll come across something pretty unusual in the course of the rest of your career as you're a young person still. So, um, in terms of this coming up year, do you have any goals for your business or how you plan on changing your business model, or are you just doing what works right now and it's all good?
Right now, everything is kind of flowing pretty good. So I try not to fix things that aren't broken, but there's always room for improvement. We found a lot now uh, to more digitalized media and marketing as opposed to old school postcards and placemats at restaurants and things like that. Unfortunately, nowadays are very difficult to deal with because people just aren't going out as much. So
Right.
with the marketing end for us, for our normal growth projections is what's changing the most. Outside of that, people are still, buying houses and I still need to look at them. So
Yep, that's
I can't
true.
complain. I can't
That's
complain
very
with the
true.
state of everything else going on,
I'm glad
how
to
busy
hear.
we've been.
How do you like Long Valley? When did you move here?
So we moved to Long Valley in 2018. Um, we came from Mine Hill, but my wife and I both grew up in Bud Lake. So we're very familiar with the area itself. And we both kind of had always wanted to live in Long Valley, even though it's still so close to the Mount Olive districts. But we came for the schools and the settings. Long Valley seems to be almost like a countryside town, but still in such close proximity to the outside world. It doesn't feel like you're separated, but when you're home, it's just a nice, relaxing place to be.
I agree with that. Do you have any favorite places that you like to eat or shop or anything like that?
The number one stop for us is always Coffee Potter.
Oh,
Um, Unless the line is sitting out on Schooley's Mountain like it is on the weekends, we're there a couple times a week. Uh,
isn't that
so we try to promote as much local business as we can. All the restaurants, like Chesapeake Tavern is one of our go-to for a quick date night when we can find a babysitter for the kids.
right?
Um, but we really try to support and buy locally as much as we can, especially even more this past year than ever before.
Yes, I think everybody, I mean, obviously all communities have been impacted by COVID and the pandemic. But I think that the businesses that have managed to hang on really need our support. And in Long Valley, the businesses are always here for us. And I think it's, really our responsibility to shop locally and promote our local businesses as much as possible. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm always happy to help, and everybody I come across, especially the ones that of houses I'm inspecting in town, is even more exciting to talk about because I get to tell them about all the cool places to go and try out. So
yeah.
um,
I think we've
we do
had
our
a big
best.
influx of people coming, so I'm sure that you get to talk about it a lot because I think that people aren't just moving, within the area here. We've had such an influx of people coming from more populated areas that this is, a breath of fresh air, literally out here, I think.
Yes, yeah, big difference. A lot of we've seen the majority of people over the course of the past year have been moving west from whether it's Bergen County or in the city somewhere. Even people in Queens that aren't as compacted as being in Manhattan are still trying to leave because it's they realize they can work from home and you get a lot more money for a lot more value for your money out here.
That's for
Um,
sure.
and, and once people get to Long Valley, most of them don't ever want to leave anyway. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I appreciate you joining me again today. So thanks very much.
you're very
Again,
welcome.
I'm Sue Wimmershoff with Remax Heritage Properties in Chester. Be sure to check out my local community website, which is parkbench.com/long-valley. And if you are interested in having your business featured on our website, please reach out to me and I will take it to the next step. So thank you again, Ryan, and good luck with the business. And
Absolutely.
we'll talk again soon. Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.